Welcome to another week of Living a Rich Life. I am your host, Rich James. Here on Living a Rich Life talk show, we intend to inform, inspire, and remind each other the importance of living a rich life through 6 principles. Those principles are good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals and achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy. Today, our guests are prime examples of individuals that will inform you. They definitely will inspire you. And, they remind you to stay focused, stay on target, and to live a rich life. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Today's special guest is a Baltimore City native. She helps underserved populations in the management of their mental health and co-occurring disorders. She provides a psychosocial education for early intervention on a number of mental health topics, which is very important. She is a board member of the Initiative Baltimore and the Remnant. She is the owner of Right Step LLC. Please welcome the talented, the intelligent, and lovely Miss Janisha Toomer. Welcome, Miss Toomer.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. How about yourself?
I'm great. I can't complain.
Okay, well, that's what I like to hear. So first and foremost, because I want to talk about this right step, right? The name of your company. How long have you been in business with Right Step?
So we're up to 5.5 years now. So October will be year 6 for Right Step.
Oh, that's a pretty healthy amount of time. That's a healthy amount of time. Tell us, what is your experience and how long have you been a licensed counselor? So tell us a little bit about that, some of your credentials behind you.
All right. So I have been a licensed clinical professional counselor for the last decade. For the last 10 years. I am a proud HBCU graduate. I attended Bowie State University, and I've been providing mental health or social nonprofit sector related services actually since 2006. So I'm probably about 15 years in the game here. I've worked the entire gambit, you name it, from neurosocial or neurological diseases all the way up to mental health, outpatient consulting, now also with other mental health organizations that are trying to get different facets of their programs off the ground. So my background is just an array of services, but everything is all about the social nonprofit sector and helping people recover from whatever that mental health illness may be, whatever that substance abuse related illness may be, and then also providing some prevention and intervention.
Okay, well, we're going to get into that a whole lot more. Bowie State University, yes, I'm a HBCU graduate myself, Morgan State, so I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So I want to talk about the counseling, right, that you provide. Describe, is there like a certain style of counseling for a licensed practitioner like yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Any licensed practitioner, including myself, is going to be providing counseling based on a theoretical orientation. For me personally, I use a combination of things that tend to work more realistically towards people. So my combination is like a little Adlerian theory, a little realistic therapy, and combined with some CBT. And together, all those things for me make up realistic goals and being able to guide the client towards realistic things that are tailored towards them as individuals and not just based on the theories. But you should definitely be operating from a theory.
So you mentioned CBT. For those folks that are not familiar with that acronym, what is CBT?
That's going to be cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, okay. I think I learned something today. I'm one of those folks.
Okay.
CBT is something totally different in my world. Something totally
Okay.
different. So it sounds like there's always some type of process, right? So, what kind of evaluation process do you use before you recommend a plan when it comes to dealing with mental disorders? Because I mean, again, this is a big topic now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I'm going to use a psychosocial assessment that's going to be tailored to getting a comprehensive or as comprehensive as you can possibly get in about, an hour to an hour and a half into someone's past, into their present, into their surroundings, into their patterns of use history, into their goals, their strengths, their weaknesses. And from there, you put all that information together and you're creating a person-centered plan, which is really important because everybody is an individual. And while some things are umbrellaed and, you can kind of say, okay, this is depression and this is a way that we approach depression, you also always want to keep in mind what that individual's personal goals are. So that comprehensive assessment, looking at all those different areas, are going to give me that information I need to be able to service the client.
Okay. Let's talk about Right Step.
Okay.
Talk about your LLC. First, tell us what Right Step is about, and then tell us, I want to know about the name that you
Okay. All right. So Right Step is a prevention and intervention program. So it is a level of substance abuse treatment that focuses on DUI education. So when an individual gets charged with a DUI, or maybe they haven't gone to court, maybe they've only gone as far as being stopped for one, the state usually requires them to complete some education. The education doesn't say that the individual has a substance use disorder. It just says that the behavior to start with of being impaired and then getting behind the wheel of a car and operating that vehicle is something that we want to prevent and possibly intervene on if that individual is showing signs of, a pattern of use that is heavy, that may be leading them to an alcohol use disorder. So that's where the prevention and the intervention comes from. So essentially, Right Steps provides DUI education for individuals dealing with that situation.
Okay. And the name, how did you come up with the name Right Step?
So it's in the name itself. After doing assessments in the court system for about 3.5 years, where I was actually making the recommendations for those individuals who got the DUI, it was just kind of like, I want to, as cliche as it may sound, like I want to help people take the right steps, provide them with the right kind of DUI education. Because I had seen a lot of programs as I was referring clients out that were just kind of like, you're here, and people were often saying like, I didn't learn anything there. So I'm like, I wanted to do it right also. So the program is very comprehensive in terms of the content. So I always tell people like, you're gonna learn something here. It's gonna go over some things you already knew, but you're definitely gonna walk away from this class learning some things about alcohol in the body that you just had no clue about.
Okay, so that's so again, I'm learning something. Again, I drink, but I don't think I have a problem.
Yeah.
So let's talk in all serious. So mental health is a really big topic these days. Would you say there's some type of signs that folks could look out in terms of mental health? Is this something that's, like you said, preventable?
I wouldn't say preventable just because the waves of life ebb and flow continuously. So there's no way to really know what scenario is going to hit you that's going to, cause you to respond in a way that impairs you. So, but there are definitely some signs that you can look out for within yourself when certain circumstances are happening or even when they're not. That's one of the biggest things with COVID is the fact that we kind of have to isolate so often. And with isolation being like the best friend of depression, that's certainly been something that I've been worried about as a clinician of, how are people handling the isolation and the separation and the need to kind of be alone when sometimes even when you're not starting off as depressed, it can be something that kind of leads to it. So there's isolation, there's lots of sleep, more than normal, and not as a result of, any changes in your schedule or anything like that. There is the lethargic feeling where you're kind of just not really interested in communicating with people in general. And then there's that sadness. So a lot of people usually don't notice the steps or the things that are leading to it until they get to that sadness, and then they're having trouble getting out of it. And then you have things like anxiety, also, of course, incessant worrying that can start to creep up, and that again can start in smaller forms, and then lead to something where you realize that you're not comfortable in a lot of situations, or the worry becomes a constant thing. So just little things. We definitely have to be more conscious of that stuff now during this COVID time, and recognizing that something about our energy is changing, and try our best to explore different options for how to deal with that. So whether that's creating new hobbies for yourself, exploring things. YouTube University is a great place. I'm like self-teaching myself how to play the guitar, these things while you're home. Everything isn't going to be about fitness and eating right. There's like plenty of other things to explore during this time. And it's going to be so crucial because we all have to build up our toolboxes for dealing with our mental health while we're dealing with a worldwide pandemic.
Those are, thank you for dropping those gems. That was definitely some good information. We're here, beexposedradio.com, with Miss Janisha Tuma. She just dropped some gems on, some of the things you can deal with, get through COVID. How are you managing, right? You said you're learning to play the guitar. When it first started, how was it for you?
Initially I was just kind of like, this all good. Like the first couple months, even for maybe like the first 4 or 5, like, we're dealing with it. Everything's going to go back to normal by the summer. I think we all thought by like June, July, but then even for me, I started to realize like, I'm used to traveling. I'm somebody that likes to go. I live for festivals in the summertime. And I just had to realize like, wait, I'm not okay with this. Like, and I was okay before any of this happened, but something about me, I started to realize there was becoming an imbalance, that from the couch to the living room thing just wasn't me. And one of the things that really helped me was my plants. I really got heavier in tune. My green thumb started coming out a lot more, and I just was buying them up. Like every time I went anywhere, that was exciting for me. I really got into that space, and that helped me with creating new routines, like starting my morning out, ordering my plants, having a cup of coffee, and reading on the deck. And those kinds of things that I was looking forward to, like, oh, I can't wait to get to the next chapter of this book, exploring different types of books, from fiction to nonfiction and things like that. And just trying to get moving, more family time as often as possible. And that's definitely been a big help.
Well, I understand that. Me and my family just started the whole Zoom. I'm not gonna lie, I am zoomed the hell out. If it wasn't for the show, I love going into the studio. But again, beexposedradio.com, we're all over. So I love the balance, but I enjoy going into the actual studio. So yeah. I know the feeling. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between, and we're going to get into some acronyms here, right? Because you're a licensed LCPC. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between an LPC and an LPCC and an LCPC?
I know the acronyms can get out of hand, and then don't even get started with the G's, like for the graduate level. So they're actually all the same, and it just kind of varies by state what they call it, but somehow, some way, that L, that C, and that P is going to equate to licensed clinical professional or licensed professional counselor or something of that nature. They usually just kind of interchange depending on what state you're in, but that means that individual has gone through the master's program. They've gone through all their graduate level requirements, like their practicums, their internships, and they've put in the hours in addition to grad school, which is about 2,000 hours post grad school before they are certified as clinical, which means they know what they're doing by the time they get there.
They know what they're doing. Okay, so it depends. Are you licensed anywhere outside of Maryland, or is it just Maryland?
Right now, it's just Maryland, but I'm definitely going to be exploring different states because Right Step is going to go beyond here for sure.
Okay. What do you consider to be your top three strengths? And we're going to go the opposite. Your top three weaknesses.
Okay.
Let's say challenges, right? We'll say I like the word challenges.
Yeah, me too. Because I honestly I can't name one. Because anything that I experience, whether it's with a client, whether it's being a business owner, or anything about those one-to-one services, I truly look at those experiences as opportunities for growth for myself. And a lot of those scenarios will bring things out of me like, oh, okay, I didn't even know I needed more patience, but apparently I do. So I'm going to work on my patience now, or, just different ways of being able to approach people. So it's ongoing. The learning never stops. And I would just say anything that I encounter that feels like a challenge in those moments, I always self-assess where that energy is coming from. If I'm being, if I'm being a little too personal, connected to whatever the scenario may be, and being able to detach back and stay in my professional role. If I'm hungry, that hunger is a real thing. Okay. And if I had my coffee yet, and I'll be like, okay. So I just use those opportunities as a way to check myself.
Okay. So that addresses the challenges. And before you move on, I got to say, and Monty can attest, again, extraordinary producer. We on this show, sometimes neither one of us get a chance to eat before the show. And I sometimes be getting hangry, but he won't let me. He just won't let me. For some reason he keeps me laughing. So that's a good thing. All right, so tell me your top three strengths.
I would say my top three would be I'm smart. I'm smart. So it's really easy for me. That goes into being adaptable. So you put smart and adaptable together in any scenario, and it allows me to have like a certain magic when I'm in session with clients. And to keep up with what's going on. Like I can stay in the story. I'm able to adjust and provide insight or help guide them towards their own personal awareness of their ability to create their own insight in those moments. And then just being really strategic in anything that I do. So anything that I take on as something that is serious, then you're going to get top-notch results because I'm smart and adaptable.
I like that. Smart, adaptable. I need one more then.
Yeah, that last one was strategic.
Strategic. Okay. All right. Because I'm about to say, you smart, but don't know how to count. No. I'm just messing. So, so those are all wonderful qualities. And I think that's, from what I know of, I've experienced in working with you personally as well as professionally, it's been very, very interesting. So what would you say is your superpower? I always like to ask my guests that. What would you say is your superpower?
That I get people. Like I understand people. It's I don't even know how to explain it, but I can literally just anybody that I'm around for any amount of time, any understanding that I'm able to gain about you, like I know people. And that is really important when you're providing any type of service, whether that's customer service. Therapy to me is customer service also, because I feel like I work for my clients. They don't come to me as something that they need. I'm looking like, hey, am I the right therapist for you? So I definitely think that getting people and knowing how to loop around and have them, feel comfortable and connected, that's what that allows me to do. So that's my power.
Okay, that's a good power to have. It's nothing like understanding people. Nothing like understanding people. I want to go back for a second because you alluded to the fact that sometimes your clients, you get attached because that's a real thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's a real thing where you get too close to the situation. Now it becomes personal. Has that ever occurred?
Absolutely, especially when you are seeing your clients making progress, when you're working with them for some time, when you see that they're trying and they're not making progress. Like sometimes you can definitely become connected to their success. And that was something that I experienced very early on postgraduate, where you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, like, I really want this to work for you. But then that was also the period in my life where I realized, where I learned how to navigate that ocean the best, because I recognize that providing the service isn't becoming the service, if that makes any sense. It means the clients have to want it for themselves, and you can't want it more than them. And once you realize that you do, then you realize that you're transferring in some way, and you need to address that with yourself.
All right, good. That's a good segue for this next question that someone sent in. How do you handle stress? I can only assume that there can be some level of stress in any job, I think, in any profession.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you handle stress?
I am very protective of my downtime. So that's one of the things that really helps me. Once I'm off, once I say I'm off or I'm unavailable, I'm unavailable. So unless somebody is, sick, injured, and I mean like critically, this is, life support type of thing, don't call me. Don't message me. If you sent me an email, no, I did not see it. And I will see it when I'm in the capacity for taking that stuff on. So being guarded about your personal time, and then having personal time that is fulfilling, is also important. So I have my friends, I have my family, I have good vibes around me. And so when I'm away from everything else, I protect that.
Okay. Now, earlier you mentioned travel. So you're not doing too much travel. And just to kind of give the sense of folks of a little more Janisha Toomer personal with it, what else do you like to do? Tell us what else you like to do. Because my team did some digging, and you seem to be digging the DIY, do it yourself type
I
thing.
do. Actually, this wall behind me, I actually created this wall myself, including the framing, the hanging of these beautiful paintings by another BSU alumni who painted them, and I absolutely love them. I love seeing them every morning. But yes, that's another way of stress relief, is doing something that is like completely creative. So I will do projects in my house, maybe whether that's wallpapering. I've done some.
Wait a minute. Did you say wallpaper?
Yes, that's the thing again.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's gotten a lot easier. It's like big stickers. That's what it feels like. So you're able to put them up, and then they're easy to remove. But yeah, so doing something that's completely has nothing to do with what I do during the day, that is also a way of like de-stressing. It's like, let me see if I can do this, even though I've never done it before.
That's funny. I'm still caught on the wallpaper thing.
Yeah.
But, okay. All right. Question. So where do you see Right Step? So Right Step's been in business for 5 years now, going on 6. Where do you see Right Step in the next 5 years? What's your thoughts on that? What are you projecting to do?
I project Right Step to be in the process and already have a couple of different locations open in different states on the East Coast, maybe about 3 at that point in 5 years, but on track for having a location in every state in the country, because Right Step is also expanding from not just providing DUI education, but in this late spring, we'll be able to provide outpatient substance abuse treatment, intensive outpatient substance abuse treatment, and community integration services to our clients that is going to be highly focused on measurable goals. So it's going to be track-based. It's going to be creating opportunities for people based on having people who are very attentive to the needs that have been expressed and that I've seen from working in literally every type of program that you can imagine. And it's going to be something that's going to be amazing. And we're really going to be targeting our returning citizens, for example, so that we can help in the fight for reducing recidivism, not just for DUI education, but for substance use and for incarceration.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's shift a little gears here, right? Mm-hmm. There's something that, I call a game. It's either or, the latest and greatest. Which would you choose? So we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. We're gonna take a step away. We're gonna play a game. Every so often, I do this with my guests. All right. So it's called Which Would You Choose? I don't know if y'all can see that. Which would you choose? I'm gonna pick a card. I have no idea what it's gonna say, but I'm gonna ask you. And you got to choose. Real simple.
Okay.
All right. Real simple.
I'm
Which
there.
would you choose? The ability to breathe underwater or the ability to jump 20 feet into the air?
Breathe underwater.
Breathe underwater. Now, do you like to swim?
I am not a swimmer, so that's why knowing how to breathe underwater is essential.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Which would you choose? Every article of clothing you own is covered in fluorescent polka dots, or every article of clothing you own is made out of spandex.
Spandex.
Spandex?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna walk around with spandex. Now, do you work out?
I would look pretty good in spandex. I do work out. So I'm gonna think
Okay. All right. Which would you choose? You are granted the power of flight, but you can only fly to work, or you are granted the power of invisibility, but you can only use it once a month.
I'm gonna take invisibility.
Visibility? What would you do with that invisibility?
I don't know, but just if my only option is flying to work, I'd rather be invisible for a day. I don't know. Maybe I'd sneak on a flight and travel somewhere, or just hide out from my kids for 24 hours.
Where you at? I'm right here. Damn it, you're going somewhere. Okay. You notice these questions usually have a follow-up to them, right?
Okay. Yes.
All right. Which would you choose? Skydiving from a high altitude plane or exploring the ocean floor in a submarine?
These are both awful. I'll take the ocean. No, I'll take skydiving.
Okay, skydiving. You ever think about it?
No, I'm terrified of heights, but the idea of being in a submarine and you can't get off is just like, it's one jump.
One jump. Okay. Well, that was Which Would You Choose? Thank you for playing.
You're welcome.
I by the way, I gave you some easy ones.
Oh, thank you.
This time. So, I think as a licensed counselor, I think with anything, trust is a very important component. So in your opinion, what are the essential components of trust?
That's going to be creating the space for people to be able to be honest and not feel judged. So, or to be able to receive what an individual has to offer or put out there without without making them feel like there's going to be some sort of repercussion as a result of it. And that's very important. I've experienced it even in, with clients in your personal life or whatever the case may be, but creating a space where people can be who they are and not who you want them to be allows you to build trust.
Well, you need to say that again. Who they are and not who you allow you to be. That's I like that. That's a nail on the head, so to speak. From my perspective, definitely. So if you weren't a licensed counselor, what would you be? What would you be doing?
Probably something real random. Other than being an engineer, because I was really a natural with that, so I probably would do like architectural engineering. I would have said that like 5 years ago, but now, since I'm experiencing my own version of the rich life, I would probably alternatively be like polishing surfboards and somewhere, just living free.
Polishing surfboards.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to swim.
I don't. I'm gonna just be on the beach. That's all.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Let's talk about confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
Quite sure that's pretty important in your field. What are your thoughts on confidentiality?
That's essential in my field. You will get sued in my field if you don't maintain confidentiality in accordance to HIPAA standards. So the Portability of Health Information Act. I'm saying that in opposite direction of the letters, but that's essentially what it represents. And that is making sure that we're not sharing any of the client's information without their express and written consent. So confidentiality is top priority amongst the staff, amongst the clients. Clients, you don't even need to tell anybody else's business. Like, we just keep everything to ourselves unless it has been expressly been okayed by the client.
Right. Okay, a lot of rules and regulations surrounding this profession. Something I'm familiar with when it comes to HIPAA, and yes, you did not. You but that's okay. Another major question I like to ask my guests, and whatever you see fit how to respond, is what does living a rich life mean to you?
For me, it means living each day intentionally, intentionally seeking out the most pleasurable parts of the day and not really harping on the things that didn't necessarily go the way that you expected. So that means if it was a hurricane all day, somehow you find a way to be grateful for the sunshine that did come for the few minutes that you may have seen it. So it just means feeling every day and going to bed on empty as often as you can and being grateful for that.
Oh, nice. Very, very nice. Sometimes folks think that's a trick question. It's not. Let's talk a little politics, something I rarely do here on Be Exposed Radio, but we do have the first female vice president.
Yes.
As well as the first African-American Asian, what is it? There's some more to it, but I'll recognize it.
I think that's what it
that is. Right. So what are your thoughts on our Vice President Kamala Harris?
I think it's amazing, like absolutely amazing what she represents. She represents the dream realized for not just for people of color, but just women in general. Sadly, it's taken so long for something like this to be even made possible. But I am rooting for her. I have no interest in any of the things that, came up in the process. I just look at it as, do no harm. And that's just the expectation is for her to create a better space. And I think that is what she intends to do. And I look forward to it. And I look forward to her running for president herself when the day comes, because I know it's coming.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You put that. You know the woman just got into the White House.
Okay. We need her as president.
She probably she ain't make that decision yet. You think that's something she's thinking about?
She should be. I'm putting it out there in the universe now. I'm sending it to her right now. She needs to be thinking about it.
That's what they say. You put it out there and stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Oh, I look a little bright there. Well, I got a few more questions here. Again, we are talking to Janisha Tuma, owner of Right Step LLC. If you have any questions as it pertains to mental health, disorders, anything of that nature, or just how she runs her business, please chime in. Janisha, can you tell us how folks can stay in contact with you? What's your social media, website, all that good information?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, and you can find me on Facebook at Right Step Baltimore, or you can find me via my website, which is rightstepllc.org, or you can email me directly, and that's going to be at rightstepnow@gmail.com.
Okay, very, very good, very good. Do you got an Instagram page? I didn't hear that.
I do not. I am working with a brilliant data scientist now who's going to give me more insight to see if that is a viable, social network resource for me. Because when I was up there, I was like, this is more like people just want to see pictures and posts. I don't know if that's like a thing for my niche-based service, which is primarily right now DUI education. So
Absolutely. So what are you working on now these days outside of business? How do you balance the work family life? That's always, I think, when you have and I say a small business doing big things. That's what I like to say. How do you do the balance? How do you balance work and personal?
Just a lot of it has become enmeshed in some ways. So I will sometimes be at the family shindig. People know me and my laptop are coming, and but then being able to put it away once it's time to play the games or things like that. And then again, just making sure that my downtime is very sacred and enjoying that time when I do have time where I'm not working or I'm not having to be responsible for anything. So just making sure that I keep the focus when it's time to work and keep the focus when it's time to play. So work hard, play hard.
Yeah, see, almost like my saying, work hard, play harder.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk legacy. You know, a lot of times I have conversations with a lot of different folks, a lot of people in my network, and the word that always comes up is legacy. So what legacy would you like to leave behind with all your life's work and your work and your experience? What type of legacy you see you leaving behind?
Just one that tells everybody that they can do anything that they think of, like they can literally accomplish whatever it is that they set their mind to. I think I took that phrase as just something adults say growing up, but as I'm living it and I'm experiencing it, it's a reality. I've broken so many barriers and so many chains and generational curses, whether it's, with my family, amongst my peers, and the sky's the limit for me. And I intend on continuing to set the bar as high as possible for my children, the rest of my family, the generations that are here with me, the ones that are coming up behind me, so that they know that we can have whatever we want and we will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any advice for our audience that's watching that you want to give to them in terms of, starting a business, whether it's, the path of a licensed practitioner or just starting a business? Any advice you want to share?
Yeah, so I'll give my advice from two perspectives. From the therapist in me, I would say build up your toolbox. It is very important for you to have things that focus on yourself, that focus on your wellness, and so that you yourself can be well completely. Because if you are no good to you, you're not going to be any good for anybody else. So make sure that you're finding new things, new hobbies, new experiences, or going back to old ones that brought you fulfillment. But make sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're also creating the space for making your downtime sacred as well. And then from the business owner perspective, I would say, don't give up. Like, it's going to be hard. And if you expect to go into it, maybe you'll get lucky, like, as lucky as someone who wins the lottery, but you can't and have like major success that first year out. But for the rest of us, we know that you cannot quit on yourself, and you're only going to attract the support that is as supportive of you as you are of yourself. So if you know that you're in it to win it, then you're more likely to be surrounded by people who recognize that and they're going to support your vision because they see how much you believe in it. But don't quit, because it's going to be an uphill battle, and then one day it just all clicks.
Excellent response. Well, Ms. Tuma, I want to thank you for joining. I appreciate your support as well. I see a lot of big things happening for you, happening for Right Step. So I look forward to connecting and talking with you again soon. So thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. All righty, we're going to keep this thing rolling here on Living a Rich Life. Our second guest, I'll say our featured guest, he's an amazing individual. And we're gonna get him in. We're gonna get him in here shortly. So, without further ado, today's featured guest here on Living a Rich Life. He has over 30 years of entertainment industry experience. He began his career as a member of this hip hop R&B group Whistle. Um, Give me a second here, folks. I'm having a little technical challenge. Make sure we got going on here. The thing about it is never too many surprises here on Living a Rich Life, but my producer, Monty, is keeping things on track for us. So we're gonna just do a few things right quick. We live on the air, but copy this guy here. Alrighty. Give him a. All right. So here we go. All right, so we're gonna give our second guest. He's trying to get situated, but in the meantime, we'll just keep it going. So I think recently in the news, if you heard, there's a certain age range that apparently is spreading the COVID. Monty, are you there?
You know it.
So let's talk about that, right? I didn't hear exactly, but the rumor has it that there's a certain age that is spreading the COVID. Were you able to get that information?
Yeah. It's 20-year-olds to 40-year-olds. They're considered the super spreaders of the virus. Meaning, though, just to clarify some of the things I was telling you earlier, but because you know that age range, the majority of them can be asymptomatic. So they may be the super spreader, but they're not the ones getting super sick.
Mm-hmm.
But they are the super spreaders, meaning they can pass it on to your grandparents or anybody that's over the age of 40, real simply, and they are the ones that are getting sicker, which is why the initiative has been to vaccinate the older folk first. But I was saying to you earlier that I think it would be more prevalent if they would have been vaccinating the people that they are now that they are considering them the super spreaders. Why wouldn't they have vaccinated those super spreaders first? That way they would have been inoculated from passing it on to the older folk.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. I think that's something that we can have a conversation in length, because again, you want to probably vaccinate those that's taking care of them, especially if they're within that age group. So who knows? In other news, Super Bowl weekend is coming up, and it's going to be a hell of a game. Tom Brady and Holmes. So we'll see what happens. I look forward to the game. I look forward to it.
What's up, man?
What's going on there, young man? I tell you.
I owe you an apology, man. I had to reboot the computer, and once I rebooted the computer, everything shut off, and I'm freaking out, right? Because first, I was just enjoying the interview, and I'm like, oh, I'm on the site. I'm supposed to be in the Zoom.
There you go. So I'm going to bring you in right, because that's what we do here on Living a Rich Life. And
Yes.
we are called Be Exposed Radio for a reason, because we expose good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
Let me let my audience know. Today's featured guest, he has over 30 years of entertainment industry experience. He began his career as a member of the hip-hop R&B group Whistle. He is known to promote diversity and multiculturalism through outstanding and groundbreaking programs, a committed individual to political and social issues.
Wow.
He has co-produced BET Africa's first television series, Top Actor, and all these things we're going to get into. His most recent successes have been his partnership with Octet Production. Hopefully I said that right, because Octet Production on the films Couples Night, Angrily Ever After, and BET's holiday hit, "'Twas the Chaos Before Christmas," all of which my team has took a look at because I told them to. And more importantly, He is the co-creator of the Influencers Brunch, something that we definitely going to talk about. Please welcome, and I need you to put your hands together for the Out of Town Connect, the most unknown known person in the world, Mr. Terk Stevens.
That's wow. I'm over here. My palms are sweating because I'm like, wow, like, you know, I just try to do good work, and it's Octect, right? It's a family of 8. My inspirations and my guiding posts, Bree and Chuck West, they just adore us, man. They just adore us, bro. And you know, it's so funny. Eric B and Rakim had Follow the Leader, and it says I couldn't follow the leader long enough, couldn't dug him, he couldn't follow the leader long enough, so I drug him. And I feel like that's what Chuck and Bree sometimes do. They just be pulling me along. They just be pulling me along, man. So we had a project we did this past December called the Christmas Lottery. So that wasn't on the list, and we just finished the inauguration. We did an event called the inaugural gospel celebration that aired the evening. We were the only Black event that night, man, of the inauguration. So we wanted people to tune in, man, and that was a major task. In the middle of all of that, man, right off the heels and the success of the Christmas Lottery, and right in the heat of the inaugural gospel celebration, I lost my mother, right, on December the 23rd, and it shook me. And I bring that up for a reason because, you know, I'm now a part of a club of people who've lost parents, and grieving is not about just losing someone passing. You know, you can have a bad breakup, a separation, and there's grieving in that as well. And I've learned that. And someone told me that grieving is the currency that you pay for the free love that is given to you. It was powerful, man.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah, grieving is a currency that you pay from the love that is freely given to you, man. So that was a good thing for me. And you know, Rich, you know, I just returned yesterday, man, from I called it my winter solace, right? I just got in the car and I just took a trip by myself for the first time in my life. I traveled the world, and a lot of times when you travel and you work and you're meeting people on the other side, but I was all by myself, and I just got in the car and I went to Vermont, Maine, I went to New Hampshire, Boston, Jersey, New York. I didn't hit New York. I drove around New York because I'm from New York, Rhode Island. And I just got back yesterday, and I posted this because I said, you know, this is I'm returning from my journey to have an enriched conversation.
Nice. So I do want to, because you mentioned the presidential inauguration, which that event was amazing. So what was that like? So who were some of the individuals you got the opportunity to work with?
It came about with the partnership that we have with the National Baptist Convention and their NBC Amen initiative to help with the disparity of health disparities in the Black and brown communities. And I had myself and Chuck and Bree, we sat down and I said, look, man, you know, we wanted to have the church have a voice during this pandemic season, right? So it went on back and forth, canceled, not going to happen, because, you know, Trump had created this whole mess. And, you know, the president didn't want to be responsible for bringing, you know, people together like Trump did. So it got canceled, then we came back together, and then all of a sudden we had to make the entire event virtual. And at first we were going to do it at the National Bible Museum. Shout out to Norm, you know, they wanted us to do it there. So then in the 11th hour, man, you know, like I said, you know, Chuck and Bree, man, they were able to say, okay, Terk, take a minute, and we just gonna make it happen. So we all got together, man, and we pulled it together, man, and we pulled on an all-star lineup, man. You know, Fred Hammond, Tasha Cobbs, Leonard, Jonathan McReynolds, man, JJ, who else, man? We had a whole list, man. Hezekiah Walker, Marvin Sapp, the Queen herself, Shirley Caesar chimed in. We just got on the phone and just started calling out our relationships. And the first thing I did was I called Anthony Anderson. I said, okay, man, I'm gonna need you to host this. You know, I knew Anthony is the greatest host, man. He said, you know, I'm a big deal now, Terk, you know? And I said, you know, our conversations go a little bit more crass than that. But and I said, man, look, I work with you for years. You ain't gonna hit me in the head with the price tags. You hit all the major networks. So he came on board to host, and we got Taraji, Lamont, Rucker, and Morris Chestnut, man. And it just was a phenomenal event. So we have an encore. We have an encore event with more bonus performances coming up at the end of this month for Black History Month, the 27th and 28th. And we'll have people tuning in for that.
That was definitely a follow-up question. You know, this is Black History Month. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm saying to myself, Terk Entertainment has to be bringing something.
Well, yeah, man. You know, we are, man. You know, Terk Entertainment Group and Octech. You know, we work closely together, man. One of the things that's important that we want people to understand is that we are producers. We're production companies that are based in DC. We want to make sure that people know that we put out incredible work, and that's what we do here. You know, and the legacy of working in DC goes back before us. You know, back in the 80s, there was a major renaissance of artists that came out of here, man. From you name it, man. You know, from Elgin Genuine, April with Expose, Born Jamaicans. The list just goes on and on of artists. JG, of course, everybody knows Johnny Gill, Michelle and the Gale Cello. It was a major renaissance, and there are more to name that have impacted the area. But we wanted to be able to make sure that when it comes to that's me, I think. I thought I had it on silent, man, but I'm gonna just turn it completely off. There we go. So we want to be sure to be able to create content that was globally recognized, right? Globally recognized, and that could stand the test of time, and to be able to tell great stories. And that's what we've been able to do, right? You know, with my company, Terk Entertainment Group, what my overall strategy is to create, content for the African American community and transatlantic African diaspora, right? Because I travel the globe, and I want to make sure that Black folks around the world has a presence, and being able to bring those groups together, man, to create content and tell stories for the world.
Absolutely, and that's I commend you on doing so and doing an excellent job.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
What made you get into the entertainment industry? Because we're going to talk about some old stuff too now.
You want to know the truth? You want to know the truth, and a lot of people don't know this. I'm gonna tell you what made me do it, man.
Oh, wait a minute. Let y'all know you're hearing it right here. BeExposedRadio.com. Living a Rich Life show.
This is the God's honest truth. I loved politics so much as a kid, man. I figured if I became a star, I could get votes.
Okay.
That was the truth, man. I was my first Black senior class president in high school. And I knew that DC wasn't a state. So I said, man, I was going to run for office, DC become a state, and I'll be the first governor. And so that's what really happened. And I didn't really sing initially, right? I was in high school, went to Friendly High School in Fort Washington, left New York, came down there from Brooklyn, New York. I went to Friendly High School in Fort Washington, man. And it was at the University of Maryland track meet. I was cutting class a lot, man, hanging out. And I wind up hanging out with one of my boys, Marcus Daniels, the twins, Marcus Douglas Daniels, after school with the track team. And so I was hanging out with them so much that I became honorary the manager of the track team, right? And it was a funny story that we had a track meet one day, man. And I said, I got out of class and said, I'm going with the track team. They said, you ain't on the track team. I said, I am on the track team, because I was at the practices all the time hanging out. And we went to the regionals at the University of Maryland, College Park. And my boy, this dude, Wayman Blassingame, was singing a song one day. And my boy, Big Bob Martin, was like, man, I was talking. I said, I could take that dude, right? And no one had ever heard me sing before. And I was because I just knew I could, but I don't know what the hell made me say that, man. And I said, I could take that dude, man. And then Bob was like, my boy can get you. And I was like, oh, whoa. He said, Terk, get him, Terk. And I was like, whoa. So then the girl was like, why don't you sing? And then I just dropped one on him. And the response was incredible, bro. I was like, yo, girls, man, they just motivate you to do everything, right? And I was like, oh man, the girls, like, they were loving it. And I was like, oh, that felt good, right? So after that, man, the word had got out in school that I could sing because no one knew I could sing. And I just said, okay, we'll just see where this goes. We'll just see where it goes. And that was it.
So before we get, because we're going to bring it back, because I want to talk about the influencers brunch.
Mm-hmm.
But this group, Whistle,
Mm-hmm.
that was a pretty, there was a song that was pretty hot. Was it just Buggin'?
Yeah, that was a smash, but we had a couple of hot ones now. We had a couple of hot ones, man. I got to fight for my boys. We had a couple of hot ones now.
So we got, I know my producer, I asked him to do something special for me today. And you'll probably have to see it on the actual Be Exposed, but those that's tuning in and watching, we threw a little something up there for them to check out. So you might start getting some calls.
Yeah, Buggin', what happened with Whistle was, the funny thing was, so my senior year in high school, we were the only school at the time that had an in-school television production class, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a production class in there. And so me and my boys, me and Sherman Mills and Danny Armstead, I said, man, let's take this class just to hang out and have fun. And they were like, cool. We just figured we just go in and mess around with cameras. So, by the end of the year, that semester, I messed around and learned something, right? Television production. After that, I met Whistle. Whistle had a massively big record, man, called We Only Buggin', Just Buggin'. Mm-hmm. And on the B side to that, man, because they had A and B sides at the time, they had a record called Chance for Our Love. And just to give you the history, back then, they were only independent record labels that were really promoting or producing hip hop. Yep. And all the major labels were just strictly sticking with R&B and pop and rock. And hip hop was just relatively new. So these independent labels were just sprouting up everywhere. Shout out to Select Records, Profile and Next Plateau, all these labels. So Whistle was signed to one of them. And the goal was to try to become a major or to partner with a major label, because everybody was just in the struggle trying to come up. And at that time, Kango, kid from UTFO, was the manager of the group. And he was so busy trying to impress Full Force. He came out, we all came out of the Full Force East Flatbush family, right? Full Force, UTFO, Chubb Rock, shout out to Roxanne, shout out to Howie T, Special Ed. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So Kango was really trying to impress them because they were writers and songwriters and producers. So right. Kango was like, look, I can do that as their little brother, just trying to prove from the big brothers. So he started to write songs. And when Chance for Our Love, when it started to get some heat, he came up with other songs, and the label was like, we want you to sing more because that's where the real money was at the time. Right. And I had met the fellas, man, and I was going to be their road manager because everyone just loved my business acumen, and they didn't know I could sing. And at the time, Doobie was like, man, yo, I'm a straight up hip hop head. I'm not singing. I'm out. So Doobie left the group. KD Cool Doobie left the group. Shout out to Cool Doobie. And Jazz called me. Jazz and Kerry was hanging out with me one time, and it was like, yo, Kerry was like, this dude can really sing. You heard me singing in the shower, to be honest. And he's like, yo, Terk can really blow. So they invited me to join the group, and the rest goes on and on, man. From Still My Girl, Barbara's Bedroom. I mean, the list just goes on, Always and Forever. We just put out more records.
Right. So we're gonna shift the gears a little, Terk, because you mentioned politics, and my team pulled up something that you actually ran for Congress.
Yeah, man. When I was at Whistle, man, man, look, I registered 10,000 voters, man, for Bill Clinton, bro. I was aggressive about it. Everybody knew. I was. Kurt Frazier found a clip from, was it Ted Koppel, ABC, City Under Siege, that I was this 19-year-old kid, man, who spoke at this big, it was a global telecast from DC about, City Under Siege, man, with the violence and the homicide. So I was always politically active. I did a Get Out and Vote tour campaign with Ron Brown before he passed, the chairman of the DNC at the time. And I just was very active. So with my partnership with DeLon Giger and Good Ground, Good Life, I was very aggressive with the community activism here in the Washington, D.C. area. And there's a brother named Bruce Purnell, man. Bruce and I went to Bowie State. He was older. He was like a big brother, man. Bruce Purnell, him and Bo Sampson. And Bruce is very active, man. Dr. Bruce Purnell here in D.C. And I was in a meeting. We had a community meeting, man, with about 40 or 50 organizations. And there are a lot of nonprofit organizations that do great work, but they just don't have the resources. And when I found out when these grants were when the money was being handed out, I found out, man, like the Washington Ballet got an astronomical amount of money, man. It was like $10 million, and we were getting scraps. And here we were, all these Black organizations doing all the great work. And I said, man, something's got to give. And knowing that, DC is not a state and it's controlled by the federal board. And I said, man, I told my partner, I said, man, I'm going to run for office to make sure that the unheard is being heard and the unseen is being seen. And that's what I did. I ran for the shadow representative seat. DC not being a state, they have a shadow Senate and they're non-voting seats and shadow House. And then, of course, Eleanor Holmes is a delegate. And that's what I decided to do, man. Was to run, man. Yeah.
Okay.
2010. It was 2010.
2010. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned partnerships, right? So tell us about your partnership with Good Ground, Good Life.
Well, man, look, it's an emotional thing, man. What we do, man, dealing with youth violence prevention. And right now our focus is, anti-recidivism, young brothers coming home from prison anti-recidivism, workforce development. That's what our real focus is right now. And Delon has put together a comprehensive plan, man, to train young people. We for the second time, we've gotten a grant. How it was started was out of 5,000 applicants, man, Good Ground Good Life got the $10,000 grant from the Redskins. The Redskins have been a big supporter of Good Ground Good Life. And just right now, Delon is always coming up with ways to be community active. And he has this a project there called, Loads of Love. And I tell people all we want is just a quarter of your time. And we just washing people clothes for free, in the communities. And so with that partnership, we've been able to do a lot of great work, man, a lot of great work. And that focus right now, man, is with the Loads of Love is just something that's just incredible. We have matching grant funds that we're looking forward to. The organizations or companies out there that want to match what we've been able to receive for this Loads of Love project through Good Ground Good Life. Just, reach out to us at goodgroundgoodlife.org.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. So for those that's just tuning in, you are watching Living a Rich Life. I am your host, Rich James, and we have our featured guest, Terk Stevens. And we're talking politics, we're talking entertainment, but more importantly, we're talking about inspiring and informing each other and remind that, whatever you set your mind to, you can do it and really enriching our lives. So we're going to keep this thing going as we talk about enriching our lives and sharing folks and getting them motivated. I want to talk about the Influencers Brunch. Share what the Influencers Brunch is all about.
Man, probably.
How you came up with the idea?
I'm going to tell you right now. I would say, because this is our 7th year with this brunch. So about 8 or 9 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Parker. Kevin Parker, people know him here in DC, man. He's a political strategist and a political consultant. He took me out to breakfast at the Mayflower Hotel one day, and he said, Terk, he said, man, there was a business retreat that takes place here in DC. And it was like Dick Parsons, CEO of Time Warner, Ken Chenault, CEO of American Express, Bob Johnson, BET, all these Black CEOs and executives, and they would get together to do a business retreat here in DC. And I was like, man, I would have loved to be a fly on that wall. And he said, you should do that. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you should do that, man. He said, man, you know a lot of people you really connected. You should do that. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not at the level of these guys. He said, but Terk, you really have a lot of relationships. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I just said, whatever. And I kind of blew it off. And then he called me and said, man, you should really think about it. That same year, about a month or two later, was the BET Honors Awards. And every year, myself and Anthony Anderson and Chris Spencer would get together and have breakfast. And that year, we used to do it at the Mandarin Oriental in Southwest, and it was my turn to pay. And Chris and I was there. We waiting on Ant. And Ant, Anthony didn't show up. Anthony didn't show up. So we had to meet him over at the Sofitel. So we go to the Sofitel, and Anthony was like, yo, man, Cedric is going to join us. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not paying for Cedric's food, right? Cedric's going to pay for his own food. Like, all of a sudden, we invite people on my dime. And he was like, man, well, he didn't say man, but I asked you to pay for it, sir. So we sit there, and all of a sudden, Wayne Brady came and he hit me up, and he was like, y'all have a breakfast? I said, yeah. And I looked at the table, and at this big table, there were a lot of people there, and I said, I get it now. I get it now. I see it. I'm looking at the table, and all of us sitting there having breakfast. So I called my closest friends and my closest business partner, Tricky, Tricky Montgomery, shout out Tricky Business in Atlanta, and Donald Woodard. Donald and I knew each other since we were teenagers. Donald went to Potomac High School, and I went to Friendly. And Donald was like a super attorney in the entertainment game. And I said, look, man, we're going to do this brunch. And I want to have a brunch where we can bring people together that will for the greater good of doing good business. And they were like, bet, I'm with it, man. Because every year we go to the Grammys and they have these Grammy brunches, but I knew this was a space that we could own during the BET Honors. So, and we were like, what are we going to call it? I said, man, we're going to call it the Influencers Brunch. And, Donald being the attorney he goes, we can't call it influencers. What are we talking about? I said, Donald, we influence people's lives. Right. I don't care if you influence one person. I'm not running from that. That's what it is, bro. And it just took off. It became huge. And then the goal was, when I first thought about it, was I said, look, we want to be able to reach Wall Street, Capitol Hill, and Hollywood, right? Those are the three components: Washington, D.C., New York, and L.A. I knew immediately that the next step was we were going to Hollywood, Oscar weekend, their biggest play, their biggest stage, and we were going to ram Black excellence down their throat. So about 4 years in, I said, yo, we going to L.A., Trick. And Trick was like, that, let's go. So we went to the Oscars and didn't have a clue, who was going to be there. Because at first, and the way it's set up was we created this brunch atmosphere, right? We wanted to be open. So it's nothing formal. You had to go get your own food. It's an opportunity for you to network. And going into our third year, we were able to get L.A. Reid. One of the things we wanted to do was whoever was being honored, I wanted to make sure that they were all there. But L.A. Reid was there. Donald had an incredible relationship has an incredible relationship with L.A. Reid. And I'm like, yo, let's have a conversation with L.A. Reid. So we got L.A. Reid to have a conversation. And it was like Chris Spencer and Anthony Anderson always hosted every year. And Chris was like, yo, this is the first time we're going to have a guest to be a conversation. And that was the platform that came out of it. That was the platform. And after that, man, we just started reaching out to friends, and we did our next one. After LA, we had I called Malcolm Lee and Will Packer, and they had a night school with Kevin and Kevin Hart and she's gonna kill me, Kevin Hart. Oh my God, Tiffany Haddish. Okay. So we did that, and then we went to LA, and I was able to get Byron Allen and Kenya Barris. Kenya had just did his $100 million Netflix deal. And Byron, we were the first platform. I had a long conversation with Byron, and he was talking about this whole initiative about his lawsuit. And I said, man, you need to come to our brunch, and you need to really have a conversation about your initiative. And we gave him that first launching platform. And after that, man, last year, we were able to get Tiffany Haddish and Christina Simmons, who's the COO of the Academy of the Oscars. And we're just moving forward with this and growing it out, man. And we just want to be able to touch lives, man.
Nice. And you, as you talk about touching lives, and it's not a trick question. It's something that I like to ask my guests.
Yes.
What does living a rich life mean to you?
Truthful.
Yeah,
living a truthful life, man. Look, and what I mean by truthful is that living in your truth. I don't lie to myself. Like, my mother always says, you can lie to everybody, but don't you ever lie to me, because I can't protect you if you lie to me. And no matter how bad things may be, even if you are, if you are a thief and you know you're a thief and you live in your truth, you could be free. Mm-hmm. No matter, as long as you're living in your truth, you find freedom. Because the problem is living a lie, man, is a heavy burden to bear, bro. And it's a dirty feeling. So, living a rich life, man, is just living a truthful life. Just as long as you're truthful to yourself, you can lie to the world. But as long as you're truthful to yourself, bro, that's the only thing that really matters.
That's a short, sweet, and to the point response. Probably one of the shortest responses, but again, sometimes less is more. You know what I mean? Sometimes less is more. So Terk, I got to tell you, because I think I've known you now for let me see, Gaylord, when Tricky first introduced us.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My birthday party.
Yes. And I said, this dude here, first, because I remember, Tricky. I went to school with Tricky.
Yeah.
Yep. And I generally like to say normally this is a rich life moment in time is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
When I have my guests, well, when did we meet?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, brother, you gave me a lot of love for someone just, meeting me. Tricky brought me over. He was like, yo.
My man, Rich.
I felt like family, right then and there. I felt like family.
That's what my mother was. My mother was like that, man. My mother opened our house up to people all the time. And people that are watching this, they'll tell you that's the one thing I was able to get from her is to be able to have an open spirit, man. Yeah. And that's just true. And you know what's so funny, man? When Trick and I met, man, I was at Howard, and his ex-wife was at Howard at the time, and it was his girlfriend at the time. And I walked into her apartment, and she said this. She said, "Oh, this is my boyfriend." I said, "Boyfriend? Boyfriend? You got a boyfriend now?" She said, "Yeah, this is Tricky. Tricky, this is Terk. Terk is Tricky." She said, "Yo, y'all gonna be best friends." That's what Taki said.
Yeah. That's
what she said. And yo, man, here we are, man. It's the truth. We are.
Facts. I'm trying to get Tricky on the show also, but that's a whole nother
He's tricky, man. He's tricky.
Exactly. So again, we keeping it going. We are talking with Terk, and we talking industry, we talking entertainment, we talking politics. We're gonna talk a little more on politics.
Okay.
Politics. Someone just said, "Good to see you, my brother." Hi. Okay. What inspires you? What inspires you? What inspires Terk?
I'll tell you the truth, man. What causes me to wake up every day, man, is knowing that every day I can do something that I want to do. I wake up every day doing something I want to do, man. And the biggest problem that people have is that people don't realize that they have the greatness within them, right? So when I get up, like when I ran for office, I just told Delon, I said, "Yo, I'm gonna run for office." And people don't realize that we become conditioned by society, right? Outliers, man, are the ones that really make the difference. It's those that have decided that they wanted to do what they wanted to do that have really changed the world. Agreed. It's a fact. People that change the world are people that are doing that what no one else is doing. Yeah. So we become conditioned to what people always want us to do. It's like when you have a child, right? Adults always think they know what's best for the child, right? But at the end of the day, the child knows what's best for him. He just needs your guidance to get there. He needs your guidance to get there. And every time you turn around, it's a mentor that does that. So for me, what enriches me is knowing that, man, no matter what I do, I can wake up, man, knowing that there is an endless possibility of me getting there. I know that for a fact. Right. I know that to be true, bro. I can make whatever my mind can conceive. I know damn well I can achieve it, man. That's knowing that the ability to dream, man, is what gets me forward, bro.
Yeah. And I think understanding the fact that, people can change, because, for a long time, when I talk about and I think about even putting the show together, just having that mindset, right? You can do anything that you put your mind to. You just got to follow it up with action and being consistent. That's really a big thing with me. The word consistent. I always wasn't consistent in my life. So those types of things. I know exactly what you're saying.
But see, even with being inconsistent, that's consistent in being something, right? and I had I'll tell you this, man. It's a buddy of mine I just reconnected with, man. Obalachi Barakas. That's my dude. We were freshmen at Bowie State together, OB, man. And my freshman year class, man, we went to go hear a speaker, and this speaker he gave an example. He said, let's say, imagine you want to go from here to New York, right? So a person that's listening to this, okay, I want to go to New York. So you leave DC, you go to Maryland. Once you leave Maryland, you get to Maryland, say, it's still too close. So you go through Delaware, you hit Delaware, it's too small. And then you go through New Jersey, you may veer off and go to Jersey. It's like, I'm not crazy. Then you're going to Philly, Pennsylvania to New Jersey. When you get to Jersey, you start to really see the coast. You're starting to see a lot of things. And you hanging out and you chilling there. And before you know it, you're just settling in Jersey because Jersey feels good to you. Had you never wanted to go to New York, you'd have never found Jersey. So even in those inconsistencies, you can find something that will make you become consistent. See, we keep listening to what other people think we should be doing, right? My mentor, Ivan Fitzgerald Hall, told me, he said, hey, man, you know what? first and foremost, start with what is easiestly accessible to you. That's number one, right? When you find that, you know, that's a direction that you can walk in. But at the same time, don't place your values on other people. Just because it's not something that you do, it's because it's something that you do, doesn't mean that that person should be doing it. And that's the biggest problem we have. We always think we know what's best for somebody else without taking the time to listen.
That's deep. That is deep. I want to get into some of, in terms of, because I want to talk about some of your challenges that you've had in business and how you've overcame those challenges.
What challenges?
I think that
I ain't never had no challenges, bro. You know why? Because everything I've done is part of the process. It's part of the process. It's supposed to happen.
Okay.
I don't look at them as being challenges, right? I just say, hey, you know what? It's part of the process.
You got a caller on the line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what?
How you doing? Hey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome to This Is Living a Rich Life. We have Terk Stevens on the call. Who are you? Tell us your name.
Kevin?
Yes, Josh Celeste. I want y'all to ask Terk about his relationship. Y'all talking about politics and entertainment. Can we hit the relationship with this brother?
Sound like someone's trying to get you married off, Terk.
Relationship? What kind of relationships? I have what kind of relationships? Business, personal, professional?
No,
spiritual?
Listen. So you're talking about his professional life, his entertainment life.
Oh, Josh Gillespie. That's JG.
I love it.
Stop playing with him. Put him on the spot about relationship.
So Terk, you know, we this is Exposed Radio, so we abide by our callers' wishes.
Let me tell you what Josh did for me one time, man. I was struggling and
Listen, I'm gone, bro. I'm out. I'm off. I'm done talking. Goodbye.
Okay.
Relationship. I'll keep coming till I hear about it.
I love it. So two things, Terk. Two things. Because we're gonna
Josh, let me tell you what Josh did for me one day.
Yeah,
I was struggling, bro. You know, a lot of times people, and it's just not a man thing, women go through this too, where you think you know what's best for you, or you may be pulling towards something, or you may be accustomed to somebody that you've been dealing with. And I had a conflict. And what's interesting is that, you know, I'll never forget Ivan Fitzgerald Hall, once again, one of my mentors. He said to me, man, he said, hey, man, you know, if you can't make a decision, allow a conflict to make a decision for you. So one of the things I was talking to Josh about, man, was Josh had been married for a long time, and I was struggling in, you know, what way I wanted to go in a relationship that I was leaning towards this young lady that I love very much, very dearly. And
Terk, we have another caller coming in. They're blowing up the lines. Go ahead, caller. What's your name?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Yes, I'm calling the radio station. I'm calling the radio station.
Yeah.
This is
Yo. Yeah, brother. This is brother Obalaji Baraka from Newark, New Jersey.
I just talked about you, bro.
That's right, brother. That's right, brother. And I'm really supporting you, brother. And I understand you're doing some great things. And I'm the manager of recreation for the city of Newark. And we're looking to bring some of those great, amazing programs that you have to the city of Newark, man. That was my classmate at Bowie State. And he's doing some amazing things, man. I'm just so proud of you. That's all. I'm so proud of you, brother.
Obi,
so
man,
proud of you.
I love you, man. I love you.
I love you more. And God put us together because how many people will say, I'm downtown Newark at Cornbread? And I say, man, you ain't at no Cornbread because that's my building. But God put us together, man. I want you to have an amazing day, man. And let's make it happen in the city of Newark. And everybody on the station, y'all doing some amazing things, man. Thank you, and God bless all of y'all.
I appreciate you, Obi. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, Obi.
All right,
Obi,
brother.
Obi, I got to tell you, man, Obi, his father is the late legend, great, iconic Amir Baracus, man, Obalaji Baracus. His brother is the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Raz Baracus, man. And Obi and I connected, man, at Bowie State, man. We've been tight, man, ever since, man. And he's doing a lot of great things.
We have another comment here. So
I love these calls, man. This is great. Man. This is awesome.
Selfish and genuine man that I have ever met. A true Renaissance man with the biggest heart. Welcome. Thanks for calling Living a Rich Life with Rich James. What's your name?
My name is Cindy.
Cindy?
You there?
Cindy,
okay,
Terk.
so Terk, it's Philly.
Huh?
It's Philly.
Oh, what's up?
All I want to say is I am listening, and you are an inspiration, and you are a great guy. And I just want to let you know that I'm enjoying this. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much. This is
This is beautiful. I love it.
this
Thank
is
you,
awesome.
Philly.
This is awesome.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. This is so awesome.
I love it. You know, like we said, we all about inspiring, and folks seem to be inspired by you, which is always a beautiful thing. And like I said, when before we got sidetracked, you always welcome me. So I appreciate the calls, and we're gonna keep it going. We got a few more minutes, but we're gonna get back to, because I think JJ said so. What's your status? What's your status, Terk, in terms of relationships?
Oh man, I've been seeing a beautiful person, man, for quite some time, man, and I'm enjoying her, man, and growing and developing, So it's a great growing process, man. It is. It's just been a great growing process for me, man, and I'm enjoying, just knowing where God is going to take me, man, in my life. And somebody else is calling.
Yeah, we got another caller. They call in back to back. It's normally not happen. So go ahead.
Said it's normally not happen.
Back to back to back. Go ahead and let the caller in, Monty. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you are on Living a Rich Life with Rich James and Terk Stevens, aka Terk. Who's calling? What's your name?
Terk. This is
Yes.
Kelly Michael Williams. I want to know, why do I have to wait to watch you on radio to find out you ran for Congress? Bruh, really now? I gotta wait to hear you ran for Congress.
Let me take real quick. So
I
in
didn't hear
Terk's
you
defense,
ran for Congress before now? Are you serious,
Terk,
bruh?
Terk.
Black politics today would have you all over the place. How am I just finding this out, Terk Stevens?
Well, Kelly,
Give me
Kelly
a break,
owns-
my brother.
So tell us about Kelly. But Kelly, I have an amazing investigative team. So that's the first thing.
So Kelly and I are very good friends, man. And before my mother passed, man, he always looked out for her. He owns a home right down the street, man. And he and his family always look out for her. But the reason why Kelly's like that, because Kelly owns Black Politics Today, a magazine.
Okay.
And he is aggressively covering politics. And I know he's gonna kill me, man, because I always support the magazine and never ever said anything about me being a part of the political realm, man. So make sure everybody goes and checks out, man, and subscribe to Black Politics Today.
Okay. Thank you for calling in, Kelly. So we it's always never enough time, especially when you have amazing guests. Someone chimed in. S. Shorter. Hello, Terk.
Oh man, I can tell you who that is. That's Sydney Shorter, man, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And let me tell you about Black Girl Magic.
Go for it.
Sydney, you there? Is Sydney there?
He sent a text message.
Oh, she sent the man. Me and Morris Chestnut was working on a film project, and I was looking to create some ancillary product with that. Right? It was a video game. It was a movie about fight like street fighting, and I was on a plane, and I was on a flight to LA, and I read an article. I think it was the Wall Street Journal, and they had this sister in there, and these two sisters own the only Black video game company in the world by Black women, two of them. And they're based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I went to All-Star Weekend right after Katrina, and I just reached out. I did a cold call, reached out to them. The city took my call, And I said, I'm gonna leave New Orleans and I'll drive down and take a meeting with them. And what was amazing about what they did as a company, you know, in this competitive video gaming industry, you know how big video gaming is.
Yes.
They had, what impressed me the most was they had 3 of the biggest blue chip companies that they partnered with. And I'm talking about a serious partnership with Coca-Cola, Walmart, and Microsoft. Sydney was at the helm of that, man. And she is my guidepost in business. Her and my boy Greg Shell out of Boston, Massachusetts. And when I tell you, man, that Sydney Shorter is, if there's a sister out there who, anyone that's looking to really grow their business, you know, reach out. You know, you can reach out to me, and I'll put you in touch with Sydney Shorter, man. And this woman is, I mean, iconic in the words of someone who really understands, you know, development and growth as entrepreneurs in business. This woman, man, out of and HBCU, they all Southern University engineers, engineering background. You know, these women, man, Sydney Shorter, man, is, I can't say enough about who this woman is and what she means to me in my life, man.
I think that's a good way to kind of close out the segment. So tell us, folks, how they can stay in contact with you in terms of, you know, if they have any questions, you know, your social media. Hit them with that one more time.
My company is Terk, T-E-R-K, TerkEntertainmentGroup.com. My email is Terk, T-A-R-E-K, at TerkEntertainmentGroup.com. And, you know, Tarek's my real name, man, but everybody knew me as Terk. And I got to give Darren Henson, the actor and dancer, Darren Henson, a shout out, man, because, you know, Darren, we gave him one of his first choreography jobs in Whistle, man. He did a video called I Am. And for years we stayed in touch. And he was like, Terk, man, your name is Terk, brother. Honor your mother, man. Honor your mother. You know, go back to Terk. So now I say Terk Stevens, man. So it's Terk Stevens at Instagram, Terk Entertainment Group at Instagram, Terk Stevens on Facebook, Terk Stevens. I mean, I'm just everywhere. Yeah. Just everywhere, Terk Stevens, man. So yes, man. Well, it's just great, man. It's just, I'm really living a rich life, man. I'm excited about tomorrow and the possibilities. I'm excited that my mother is pain free. My father is pain free. I'm excited that I have a loving family. You know, my sisters, my nephews, and my nieces, and just the relationship that I have currently, and continuing to build, man. And we just want to do good business. So I would say that, you know, the 28th and the 27th and 28th this month, we're doing our gospel celebration again, Octet, O-C-T-E-T, Octet Productions, and Terk Entertainment Group, trickybusiness.com. Oh, my boy Donna Woodard, they just launched their new law firm, Carter Woodard, Black Law Firm Entertainment, the exclusive Black entertainment law firm out of Atlanta, Georgia. The Good Ground, Good Life, Bruce Purnell. You know, when you're looking for good counseling, man, you can reach to Bruce Purnell, as well as Philip Reynolds, my girl Taraji and Tracy. They have a phenomenal on Facebook, you know, in terms of mental health healing. And just shout out to all of the lovely Black folks, man. I'm unapologetically Black to the 10th power, square rooted, bro.
That's what's
square
up.
rooted. My lawyers, my doctors, everybody's Black, man.
That's what's up. So there you have it, folks. Be Exposed Radio here on Living a Rich Life. You heard it first from the most known unknown person.
Let me give a shout out to my team, man. Dominic Gay, Christina Ruggles. You know, these are part of my team, man. Christina Ruggles and Dominic Gay. Dominic Gay. They help keep everything in balance for me, man.
It's nothing like having a good team. So what I normally have is a Living a Rich Life closing remarks. So we're going to do that. Before I do that, Paige told me to say, what's up? She told me to give you a shout out and say hello.
What up, P?
So, you know, life has many challenges. That's what's being consistent. That's why being consistent is important. Whatever you do, make sure to stay on target and focus. Consistency is the key when you're on track. Keep moving. I want to say thank you to my first guest, Janisha Toomer. I want to say thank you to my featured guest, Terk Stevens. Until next week, this is Living a Rich Life with Rich James on Be Exposed Radio. Stay focused and continue to be inspired. Until next week, I'll talk to you soon, Terk.
All right, brother. Love you, man. Love you, black guy.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for all for tuning in. Good night.
Thank you for having me.
What's up?